Hi, I am Dr. Elina Hartwell. Welcome to my channel. What if I told you that aging does not automatically make people wiser? In fact, growing older can do one of two things. It can soften a person or harden them. You've probably seen both. Some seniors become calm, warm, emotionally balanced, deeply grateful, and peaceful to be around. And others? They become bitter, constantly angry, negative, emotionally distant, critical of everyone and everything. So the question is, why do some people age beautifully while others become emotionally trapped in bitterness? Is it personality, life experience, pain, genetics? As a psychologist, I can tell you the answer is deeper than most people realize, because aging itself does not create bitterness. Unprocessed emotional pain does. And the people who age beautifully are not the people who avoided hardship. Very often, they suffered deeply too. But psychologically, they learned how to process life differently. In this video, we're going to explore the psychological reasons some seniors become emotionally peaceful, while others become bitter. And most importantly, what anyone can do to age with emotional wisdom instead of resentment. Because beautiful aging is not about looking younger. It's about becoming emotionally lighter. One of the biggest psychological differences between peaceful seniors and bitter seniors is how they deal with disappointment. Life disappoints everyone. Dreams fail. People betray us. Relationships end. Health changes. Loss becomes unavoidable. But psychologically, people respond to disappointment in very different ways. Some people accept pain, learn from it, and slowly heal. Others emotionally freeze inside the pain. And when emotional wounds remain unresolved for decades, bitterness develops. Bitterness is often accumulated disappointment mixed with helplessness. It's what happens when pain turns into identity. You'll often hear bitter people repeatedly saying, "Life was unfair to me. People always disappoint. Nothing ever worked out." Their mind becomes psychologically trained to focus on betrayal, injustice, and negativity. The solution psychologically is emotional processing. Emotionally healthy seniors allow themselves to grieve losses instead of emotionally living inside them forever. They feel pain without building their identity around pain. And this changes the entire emotional direction of aging. Another major difference is that people who age beautifully usually learn how to adapt to change. Psychologically, aging requires constant adaptation. Your body changes, your roles change, your relationships change, your routines change. And one of the greatest sources of suffering in later life is resistance to reality. Many bitter seniors become emotionally trapped, trying to hold on to a version of life that no longer exists. They resist aging itself. They resent younger generations. They become angry at change. But psychologically, resistance creates chronic frustration, because life continues changing whether we emotionally accept it or not. Emotionally healthy seniors understand something important. Adaptation is not weakness. It is psychological survival. They may miss the past, but they do not emotionally live there. Instead of constantly saying, "Things used to be better," they ask, "How can I still create meaning now?" That mindset creates emotional resilience. Another important reason some seniors become bitter is unresolved identity loss. Many people spend decades building identity around work, parenting, physical appearance, productivity, or social status. But aging naturally changes these roles. Retirement happens. Children become independent. Physical abilities change. Social attention decreases. And psychologically, many people suddenly feel lost. If someone's entire self-worth depended on external roles, aging can feel emotionally devastating. This is why some seniors become angry, controlling, or deeply unhappy after major life transitions. Because underneath the bitterness is fear. Fear of no longer mattering. The psychological solution is developing internal identity. Emotionally healthy aging happens when self-worth expands beyond achievement or status. The seniors who age beautifully often focus more on wisdom, relationships, purpose, kindness, mentorship, gratitude, and emotional depth. Their value comes from who they are, not only from what they do. And this creates emotional stability even as life changes. Another psychological factor is emotional flexibility. Bitter people often become emotionally rigid. Everything must happen their way. Their opinions become fixed. Their thinking becomes narrow. And psychologically, rigidity creates isolation. Because emotionally rigid people struggle to connect, compromise, or grow. But seniors who age beautifully often remain psychologically open to learning, open to listening, open to changing perspectives, open to growth. This openness protects mental health. Research consistently shows that psychological flexibility is strongly connected to emotional well-being because the mind suffers less when it can adapt instead of constantly fighting reality. Another major difference is how people handle regret. As people age, reflection naturally increases. People think about mistakes, missed opportunities, broken relationships, things they should have done differently. But psychologically, regret can either mature a person or poison them. Some people become trapped in lifelong self-blame. They replay the past endlessly. I ruined my life. I failed. I wasted my years. Over time, this creates shame, anger, and emotional bitterness. But emotionally healthy seniors approach regret differently. They practice self-forgiveness, not denial, not pretending mistakes didn't matter, but understanding that human beings are imperfect. They recognize, I made decisions with the awareness I had at the time. And instead of spending their remaining years emotionally punishing themselves, they focus on what can still be experienced, appreciated, repaired, or enjoyed. That psychological shift creates peace. Another reason some seniors age beautifully is because they continue nurturing connection. Bitterness often grows in emotional isolation. Many seniors experience loneliness, grief, or disconnection later in life. But some emotionally withdraw completely. They stop trusting people, stop opening up, stop engaging socially. And isolation amplifies negativity because the mind loses emotional balance without healthy human connection. Psychologically, humans remain relational creatures throughout life. The seniors who age beautifully often continue investing in relationships. Not necessarily large social circles, but meaningful connection, family, friendships, community, conversation, shared purpose. Connection gives emotional life movement, and movement protects the mind from becoming emotionally stuck. Another important psychological truth is that grateful people tend to age more peacefully. Now, gratitude does not mean pretending life was perfect. It means the brain learns to notice what still exists instead of focusing only on what was lost. Bitter people often become mentally consumed by absence, what they lost, what changed, what disappointed them. But emotionally healthy seniors balance grief with appreciation. They still notice beauty, still appreciate small moments, still value connection, nature, peace, laughter, love, and simple routines. And psychologically, gratitude changes emotional focus. Research shows gratitude reduces stress, improves emotional resilience, and increases life satisfaction. Not because problems disappear, but because perspective changes. Another major reason some seniors become bitter is unresolved control issues. Aging naturally involves loss of control. Health changes, energy changes, independence may change. And for people who built emotional security around control, aging can feel terrifying. This fear often appears as anger, criticism, stubbornness, or controlling behavior. But emotionally healthy seniors gradually learn acceptance. Not passive surrender, but emotional acceptance of reality. They focus more on what they can still influence rather than obsessing over what they cannot control. And psychologically, acceptance dramatically reduces suffering, because much emotional pain comes not from reality itself, but from fighting reality endlessly. Perhaps the deepest reason some seniors age beautifully while others become bitter is this. Some people continue growing emotionally throughout life. Others stop. Emotional growth does not automatically happen with age. A person can grow older without becoming emotionally wiser. The seniors who age beautifully often continue reflecting, learning, healing, adapting, and developing self-awareness. They remain emotionally curious. And this creates wisdom, not intellectual wisdom, emotional wisdom. The understanding that people are imperfect, pain is part of life, love matters deeply, time is precious, and peace is more valuable than ego. Beautiful aging is not about avoiding suffering. It's about refusing to let suffering turn your heart permanently cold. And honestly, that may be one of the greatest psychological achievements in life, because bitterness is often pain that never healed. But peace is pain that was understood, processed, and transformed. If you are growing older, remember this. Your future emotional state is not determined only by your age. It is shaped by how you process life emotionally. You cannot control every hardship life brings, but you can control whether pain turns into wisdom or bitterness. And maybe that is the real secret behind aging beautifully. Not perfect health, not perfect circumstances, but emotional maturity. The ability to stay soft in a hard world. If this video spoke to you, ask yourself honestly, what kind of person are you becoming as you age? Write your thoughts in the comments. And if you know someone who needs this message, share this video with them. Sometimes people do not need advice as much as they need emotional understanding. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more psychology-based conversations about aging, emotional health, relationships, and human behavior. And remember, aging is inevitable. Bitterness is not.